1, 2, 3. I've been running from the pain, trying not to feel the same, but it's a shame that we miss again. See, my confidence is shaking and my heart is feeling vacant, so you tried to fill it in. You said I could fix the broken in your heart. You would save and die.
Energy and matter characterize both physical and biological systems. These systems are defined both by the types of energy and matter they contain, and by how that matter and energy move through and between systems. In natural systems, both energy and matter are conserved within a system. This means that energy and matter can change forms but cannot be created or destroyed. Energy and matter are often cycled within a system, and different forms of matter and energy are able to interact. Matter is constantly cycled between living and non-living parts of the environment. Processes like photosynthesis and nitrogen fixation allow the carbon and nitrogen cycles to regenerate needed substances by recycling Earth's atoms. You know about recycling, right? We all probably sort our trash to save things like aluminum cans, plastic bottles, and newspapers. We all probably also know why we do it: to conserve resources. What would happen if we didn't conserve resources? Well, the things that are used to make up those products might become more scarce, leading companies to search for more raw, natural resources from the environment, which drives up prices. In some cases, new ways would have to be engineered to make those products if new sources can't be found. Recycling is just a good idea, and nature is a master recycler. Even when humans don't, nature will get its way and cycle atoms and molecules back again. Carbon and nitrogen are great examples of how nature does this. Carbon is a very important element, as it is a building block of all organic matter, including parts of the human body such as proteins, fats, DNA, and RNA. Carbon can mainly be found in air as carbon dioxide, but as a part of the carbon cycle, it may also be dissolved in water or stored in sediments. One of the ways that nature recycles matter is through the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle is a carbon cycling through the global environment. Carbon is a very important element as it is the building block of all organic matter, including parts of the human body such as proteins, fats, DNA, and RNA. Carbon can be mainly found in air as carbon dioxide, but as a part of the carbon cycle, it may also be dissolved in water or stored sediments. Carbon is a chemical element and key component of many systems in biosphere, from acting as a part of Earth's thermostat to being one of the key elements in photosynthesis, which is when plants make sugar for energy. In order for the ecosystem to function properly, all parts need an adequate supply of carbon. This is usually not a problem since nature is efficient at carbon cycling. Since the process is a cycle, we need to pick some place to begin. One of the biggest reservoirs of carbon is the atmosphere, which is about 0.38% carbon dioxide. The first process is through photosynthesis, where plants take in carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight to create sugars for energy, and oxygen gas emerges as a byproduct. Once inside plants, carbon moves through food chains, where organisms become nutrients including herbivores, carnivores, and ultimately decomposers. Through living organisms, carbon is either re-released back in the atmosphere through respiration. Respiration is where organisms use oxygen to generate energy from nutrients and produce carbon dioxide as waste. And it is released by combustion. Combustion is the process of burning something or broken down into the soil as part of organism's body. Once buried in the soil, carbon can be converted into fossil fuels over a long period of time and then also re-enter the atmosphere by combustion. Carbon is generally cycles more slowly through other processes. For example is the running water. It slowly dissolves carbon in rocks, and most of this carbon ends up in the ocean. The top layer of the ocean water dissolves some carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, and the carbon also enters ocean water from the decomposition of aquatic organisms. Carbon from these sources may settle to the bottom of the ocean as sediment. Over millions of years, this carbon may form fossil fuels or carbon-containing rocks. Carbon can remain in these reservoirs for millions of years. Nitrogen is a substance that is essential for all life on Earth. Most nitrogen can be found in air in the gaseous form, but nitrogen can also be found in water and soil in different forms. There, it will be decomposed by bacteria and absorbed by plants and animals. It makes up 78% of Earth's atmosphere. It is also an important element in living things. Nitrogen is needed for proteins, nucleic acids, and many other organic molecules, including chlorophyll, without which plants and other photoautotrophs could not carry out photosynthesis. The nitrogen cycle is the biogeochemical cycle that recycles nitrogen through the biotic and abiotic components of ecosystems. Plants cannot use nitrogen gas in the air to make organic compounds for themselves and the other organisms that consumes them, but they can use nitrogen in the form of compounds such as nitrates, which they can absorb through the roots. The process of changing nitrogen gas to nitrates is called nitrogen fixation. It is carried out by bacteria called nitrogen-fixing bacteria that live in soil or on the roots of legumes such as peas. Nitrogen fixation is the primary source of nitrogen used by plants in most ecosystems. An important difference is seen in energy, in that it does not cycle within an ecosystem. Instead, it enters the system when it is captured by primary producers and exits the system as it is used by a wide variety of organisms. The energy is transformed through the process, being continually transformed into different bands until it essentially escapes as heat and chemical energy. The most important processes in nature for the flow of energy are seen in the opposing process of photosynthesis and respiration. Using a light-powered proton pump, chloroplasts harvest energy from the sun and place it into sugar or glucose molecules. Small organisms and larger animals eat these plants using the energy to build their bodies. This energy passes through the ecosystem via the food web. Eventually, all the energy not used up by organisms before they die is used up by decomposers in the soil. The energy flows in ecosystems follow the law of thermodynamics. First, energy cannot be created or destroyed. However, it can be converted from one form to another. Second, energy conversion is never completely efficient. As a result, most of the energy lost is heat.